JJ Bleday won himself some hardware with an exciting, stellar, probably only the bright spot in the month of May.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, welcome in. I'm Stephen Offenbaker. That's Tim Daniel, and you are watching Locked On Reds. Thanks, as always, for being an everydayer and helping to make us the #1 sports podcasting network in all the land. A little bit later in today's show, we're just going to preemptively answer the Nick Castellanos question. I have seen it already, Tim. It's out there. We're going to talk about it. That's coming up here in just a little bit. Also, our guy, Tony Santillan. We thought he was going to be a tiger. Turns out he's a kitten. We're going to talk about Tony coming out of the bullpen here in just a few minutes. But where we are going to begin is with this Reds lineup that has some bright spots. That's a work in progress. Some changes have been made. Some more changes were made yesterday, but it's still not quite there, although it's better than it was, say, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that's where we're going to begin. Let's begin with a bright spot, because the first bright spot, the first thing that happened is JJ Bleday, who got sent to Louisville to start the season, gets that call up and has been on fire ever since. JJ Bleday, your National League Player of the Month for the month of May. JJ's been doing some things, 1 for 4 in last night's game. He is still hitting 289. His OPS is still over 1. It's 1.003. He's just barely keeping it together, keeping it above the 1 mark. You look at his stats, Tim, and let's just say in this last month, last 30 games, 287, 371, 609 with 9 home runs. That's a pretty good 30-game stretch.
Yeah, and if you go even smaller to shrink the sample size, it still looks really good. Last 7, 296, 367, 704 slugging.
Take it. Keep it up.
3 homers, 6 RBI. All 3 runs he scored were on his home runs. Yeah, he's been nothing less than stellar. If he qualified, he'd be leading the National League in OPS and slugging over Kyle Schwarber. And he just doesn't have enough bats to qualify, just because, like you said, they aforementioned for some reason not breaking spring training with the ball club that no one understands. And he has been nothing less than spectacular. I mean, if you look at if Ellie's back in time, the Reds could potentially have 4 All-Stars if everything goes the way it's supposed to between Bleday, Ellie, Steer, and Chase Burns.
It could have happened. That's not going to happen now. Jeff and I talked about this. Chase Burns. We'll get to that in the second segment, because I don't want him in the All-Star game, but we'll bring that up either a little bit later or in a different show. But you talk about this lineup. JJ Bleday, right now, the brightest spot in this lineup. Mm-hmm. The outfield, probably, maybe, question mark, gets a little bit better yesterday with TJ Friedl being sent down to AAA Louisville, which honestly, I mean, I really am surprised they pulled the trigger on this. It needed to happen. Jeff and I have spent some time talking about the fact that it should happen, but I just really didn't think at the end of the day that they were going to do it. And they did. They brought up Noelvi Marte. At least finally, for the love of God, this time they called up the right Marte, because they got that terribly wrong earlier in the week, calling up Junior, whose tenure did not last very long. But this move needed to happen. And of course, he doesn't start when they call him up. They instead go with Will Benson, who was hitting so much better than TJ Friedl, but that was the move. Noelvi Marte, I hope that he comes up and is able to be better than he was. I don't think that he got very much of an opportunity to start this season. Jeff and I have wondered, both at times on the show and a lot behind the scenes during show prep, if there was more to the story of Noelvi Marte being sent down, if there was more to the story of him being kind of put in a timeout in AAA Louisville, that there may have been something else going on, either a personality conflict, something that Noelvi had going on that put him at odds with management or the front office, because he didn't get very much of an opportunity out of spring training before they sent him down.
Yeah, 29 at-bats before they sent him down. But I'll tell you what, Steve, look, I know we're slowly talking about one plate appearance here. So there's no way
huge sample size.
Yeah,
huge.
There's no way to get small sample size set. He looked a lot more patient. He didn't swing out of the zone. He took a walk. He won an ABS challenge. He lost the challenge in the sense that he thought he was hit on the first pitch. So Terry Francona went to them, and they didn't get that successful. But you mentioned it was finally the right move they made. This is a guy who was in the last week of April the International League Player of the Week, who was raking in Louisville. So it looks like he was kind of working on patience and recognizing the strike zone a little more. So yeah, maybe it was a timeout, or maybe he just needed for a mental check to just kind of get back to himself. I don't know why he didn't play tonight. I understand they had a righty on the mound. We've talked about this 4 million times. Reverse splits for Noelvi Marte. But yeah, so hopefully this is what gets him going. We know he seems to have good luck in his career playing in St. Louis on a comeback. If you remember when he came back from suspension, his first game was in St. Louis. He had 3 hits. So in 24, sorry. So yeah, I'm excited to see him back. I'm optimistic about him being back, just like you said. Between Blake Dunn, Dane Myers, JJ Bleday, and Spencer Steer when he's out there, the outfield has something they're figuring out to play the right guys.
It's curious to me, his career, his regular season stats in his career. Noelvi Marte. 249 batting average, 291 on base percentage, 21 big league homers. The last week's worth of games, if you go back to before he was sent down, so the last 6 games that he played at the big league level before being optioned, plus the game last night, we'll take those 7 games. Batting average of 211. That's better than what Will Benson's doing. That's better than what TJ Friedl was doing. On base percentage of 250. We'd like to see that better, but that's, better than what TJ Friedl was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know what else was going on, because I really think there was something. But he is now back with the big league club. I hope he gets an opportunity. Will Benson, I guess, now is your weakest link in the outfield with the option of TJ Friedl. I can't imagine he has much more of a leash before they look to make a move there.
Yeah, I feel like the Reds are look, cracking down. And honestly, I'm glad they are. I know we're going to talk about Tony Santillan in the next segment, so we'll get to that. I want to make one more thing mention real quick about Marte before we move on. 12 walks in Louisville, and that was a big difference from where he was at for that on-base percentage. So his OBP was 409 in this short about month and a couple weeks in Louisville. But yeah, at this point, you're right. Will Benson is the weak link. I know he had that incredible moment where he had the pinch hit home run to tie the game on Tuesday night, and that was awesome. It was a great moment. Will Benson is a moment guy. And what I mean by this is, if you're looking for consistency, you're not going to get it from him. But he's going to have these moments on occasion that come up in big situations, and he finds a way to come through. But yeah, I don't know how much you can just put your stock into that happening with him. But I think, he's probably the next guy that's going to have to go down. Michael Toglia is swinging really well in Louisville. Michael Chavis is swinging pretty decent at Louisville. So that's the plus, is there's guys down there you can bring up to take his spot. And I don't think they need more lefties on the bench right now. And so I guess if you do that route, Toglia is a switch hitter. So there you have options.
And, speaking of options, Terry Francona now has a lot of options with this lineup to move guys around and get people in at different positions. Spencer Steer, man, I know Jeff spent some time talking about him yesterday, and I just want to talk about him for just a second. 21 consecutive games now that he's gotten on base, 1 for 3 last night with a walk. Batting average sits at 278 right now. You look at all the things Spencer Steer's doing, being the super utility, being the guy that's moving all over the place. In his last 15 games, 321, 410, 509 with 2 home runs. You want a bigger sample size? We can look at his last 30 games, 313, 384, 473, 4 home runs. Spencer Steer is quietly, consistently getting it done for this team. And a lot of people were ready to give up on him last year based on him powering through that shoulder and never quite getting right throughout the year. Shoulders are impactful, and I really think that there's probably an element of shoulder going on with Matt McLean. We can talk about that in a second if you want. But Spencer Steer has seemingly come all the way back. This is the guy that we thought he was and that he was going to be. And I am excited for Spencer Steer. I've had the opportunity to talk to him in person more than once. He did an interview with us when he was down in the minor leagues. He's a guy that's very easy to root for.
Yeah, you guys got lucky there, because I think after the trade, he was in Louisville for 4 weeks. So
pulled him up.
Yeah, it's so funny. So I was joking about this the other night on the postcast with Spencer Steer, where when I worked at Late Night Reds with Ben Brown, we used to always joke about, we used to call it, just say Spencer Steer professional hitter.
Professional hitter. I love
And
it.
now it's an insult because he is flat out a professional player. I mean, he's probably going to be up for Gold Glove for the utility player this year, just because of how well he's played and played multiple positions. He's probably, I still think he's the team's best defensive first baseman, and he barely plays first base. Tonight, he played second base. As they're trying to figure out the LA De La Cruz thing with Matt McClain playing at shortstop, they gave Edwin Arroyo the night off. So he goes and plays second base there. It's neat because it's like, we grow up with these like utility guys who could play anywhere, but like seeing a guy who's very, very good at, like, Ryan Friedl had his moments, yes, but Spencer Steer is like freaking an incredible player right now.
Yeah, a lot of the utility guys get exposed with everyday playing time, right?
Yes.
When you keep running them out there, it's clear to me. I think it's a disservice actually to call Spencer Steer a utility guy. That's the what we've got to call him because he moves around and plays all these different defensive positions. But he's not a fill-in player. He is not a emergency off the bench kind of guy. He is a starter. He is a big league, Major League Baseball starter that the Reds happen to be able to use all over the place in order to meet their needs everywhere else. So, maybe we need a new term. We need something better than utility. I don't know what that is. Get in the comment section, folks. If you've got something better that we can call Spencer Steer than utility, super utility, whatever it is, I want to hear from you. I want to hear about it because I think we're doing him a disservice. What else is a disservice, Tim, is the way that Tony Santillan has been pitching out of the bullpen. It has been ugly. It is not fun. I do not like it. And coming up, we are going to talk about this particular bullpen and the way that it has performed. And we're going to start with Tony Santillan. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position that you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Job. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people that actually fit what you are looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. In the time that I'm going to be talking to you, companies like yours will have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of Locked On Reds are going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status that it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Locked On Reds by saying you heard about Indeed on this show. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions do apply. You need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Thanks so much for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. If you're an everydayer, you know how much we love having you around here and talking baseball with you. Elevate your game. Head over to the Everydayer Club. The link for that is down in the show description. $5 a month, $50 a year. It's going to get you ad-free Locked On Reds in the audio feed. It's also going to get you access to the exclusive Discord server where we're not just talking Reds baseball in there. Every single host, every single show, every single channel, talking ball all the time. You will definitely find something to talk about on the Discord server. Check that out today in the show description. All right, Tim, this is not going to be a fun conversation.
No, it is not.
Tony Santillan, we talked about him in the offseason as being in line to be the closer. Before the Reds re-signed Pagan, he was the guy we were ready to give an opportunity to go out there and sign and fill that role, to be the everyday back of the bullpen, ninth inning electric guy. Tony Santillan roared last season. Now he just meows like a kitten. Nobody's scared of a kitten, Tim. He is not a tiger. He is not a go-getter right now. I don't know what happened. I don't know if his arm is just having a hard time recovering from the 82 games that he appeared in last season, but I don't think that you can rely on Tony Santillan right now. I am starting to wonder if something's wrong and he's not speaking up because of the condition of the rest of this bullpen. If he's trying to power through something, if he's trying to just go out there and get it done, whatever it is, I don't think you can continue to run him out there.
Yeah, last year we called him the Winter Soldier, right, from the Captain America, because he had that arm thing, and now he is the Winter Soldier without the arm, and those scenes where he doesn't have it in there. So, Steve, you look at, there's no positive way to spin his numbers. I mean, Last 15 games he's got a 2.35 WHIP. Last 15 games he's given up 17 earned runs. He's only pitched 12 1/3 in his last 15 games, and we're talking about this. That's unacceptable. And I know you can say that for a lot of people in the bullpen. And the thing about it is, yeah, you're probably going to have to option him. I don't even know if he has options, or DFA him at some point if this keeps going. But there's no one better. You talk about this all the time with Matt McClain. Did you see how many walks the Louisville Bats had last night?
I didn't look at the thing, but I'm not surprised if there were a lot.
It was 14.
That's not surprising.
And the fact that they just don't have something better they can go to is frightening. Because if you look at the bullpen, let's look at last night in particular. So Caleb Ferguson gives him an inning, a third, looks really good. TJ Antone gets the last 2 outs of that inning, looks solid. I mean, I can't believe how, I'm not saying he's been incredible, but I'm shocked that he's looked as good as he has since he's come up.
And he was pitching on back-to-back days last night. That back-to-back games coming off of his third Tommy John surgery. The fact that TJ Antone's got a 4.35 ERA in the big leagues right now with how many games now on the season? He's got 11 games already on the season, 10 and a third inning pitched. Nobody could have predicted that. He's been better than serviceable.
Absolutely. Zach McCambley makes his debut last night, the guy they just got from the Reese Hines trade, who they called up pretty quickly. He only throws 2/3 innings, does have a walk, but strikes out Salvador Perez, which was super cool to see. Had no fear whatsoever on the mound, so I think he's going to stick around, until he has his 9-run outing that's probably coming because he's from the Reds bullpen. It's inevitable, but
the inevitable 9-run inning. Yes.
Yeah. But the thing about this, Steve, that I'm trying to get to, and my point here is that they don't have anyone they can rely on. And Tony Santillan is the worst of the group right now. Their best pitchers right now, their best relievers are Sam Maul, Caleb Ferguson, and Brock Burke. You know what all those guys have in common?
They are like Steve. They are left-handed.
Me too. Team Southpaw for life.
All lefties around here, baby. And Jeff Carr is also left-handed. So It is all lefties. We're
all going to live longer,
and we use our right minds.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had a simple solution. Jeff and I talked 2 nights ago, Tim, that they've got to go get somebody. I just don't see any other way around this. They have to go get somebody. I think it's only a matter of time before Santillan goes on the injured list with an elbow or something or thing.
Inflated run average. Yeah.
Whatever it is, the thing that they come up with. But you're right. There's nobody else to pluck out of AAA and hope they can eat some innings for you. I mean, this team just called Luis May back up. They sent Lee Bratt back down already. God help us if Marte gets another look. They can't.
Oh, he will.
This way.
He will. He cleared waivers.
They cannot continue this way.
No, it's just, the revolving door of, I talk about this all the time on the postcast. This guy gets called up, throws a game, gets DFA'd. We bring this guy up, he throws an inning, we DFA him. This guy comes up, throws an inning, we DFA him. Like, winning teams don't do that. I'm not saying I understand bullpen pitching is very, very fickle. I understand that bullpen ERAs most of the time don't mean anything. But for this team, it means something, because I think the only guy right now, and I kind of trust them only because they've looked very good in like 4 appearances, is Caleb Ferguson. And I trust TJ.
And he has a track record, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb Ferguson, not only has he looked good in these appearances, but he's doing the thing that he was brought in here to do. Now, granted, I don't think anybody expected Caleb Ferguson to probably be the best guy in the back of the bullpen at any point in this season, but he was brought in to be a consistent guy to get things done. And in his career, he has a career 3.59 ERA in 337 big league games. So we know who he is, and he's really the only one delivering on expectation right now.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like I said, TJ Antone is overcoming. I don't even think we thought we'd see him pitch in the big leagues this year. So he's been really good. I don't know if you heard this in the broadcast, but Chris Paddock was warming up just in case they went to extras.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I guess the Reds plan on keeping him around as the rotation gets healthier, because it sounds like
they gave him a big league deal, and it was not conditional. It wasn't. I think he's going to become the long man in the bullpen.
I do too.
We were talking in our group chat, me, you, and Jeff, and I asked the question, how many more rehab starts for Lowder? 1, 2. Jeff said
none.
1. I thought 2. Maybe none is the answer, right?
He's pitching Sunday in St. Louis.
That is crazy to me that they're desperate times, desperate measures. It's a little extra even beyond that for me that they're only giving Rhett Lowder one rehab start, 70 pitches in AAA. And the decision has been made that they can't afford to wait any longer to bring him back up.
No, I mean, would you be shocked if Hunter Green's back at the end of June because they need somebody?
I hope not, because he's going to be back on the injured list in July.
Right. I agree with you, but I feel like the way things are going right now, I mean, if you look at Friday in St. Louis, Brady Singer's pitching, and we've all seen what he's done this year. It's been really bad. And, otherwise I feel very comfortable with the rotation. Everyone not named Brady Singer right now, being Burns, Lodolo, Abbott. And I know Lodolo's not quite back to his old self, but he's rounding in the form.
I'm really worried about Nick Lodolo, just from a standpoint of,
how long is it going to last? I
don't know if you caught the show where I was talking about, OG Nick Lodolo versus whatever version of Nick Lodolo this is right now. But the OG back foot breaker, Nick Lodolo, that's the guy that we all talked about having number 1, number 2 spot in the rotation type of results. I don't know that this version of Nick Lodolo can give you that. I don't know that he'll ever get there. Is he a number 4 starter now at best? Maybe a number 3, depending on what kind of new grip he can learn for the breaking ball that's not going to give him a blister. I'm really worried about him, but this rotation can't afford to let him figure it out. He's got to get out there and figure it out like everybody else on the fly in the moment. And it's just worrisome and it's frustrating. And I feel the frustration in the comment section. And when I'm talking to Reds fans about the strength of this team, how it looked, in Goodyear and on paper as they were breaking camp, and how excited we were about this pitching staff. And it is just absolutely in the shambles, to the point where things that we should be worried about with the lineup that we talked about in the last segment, we're looking at that as not even the 3rd or 4th worst thing about this team right now, because of the way this pitching staff is completely fallen apart.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable that it went from the way it is. And like you said, if Nick Lodolo is your 4th starter, it's a pretty good 4th starter. He might be your last starter with the way things are going with Burns, and whatever Green is going to be when he gets back, and how good Abbott's been, since his rough 3 or 4 starts to start the season. Excuse me. But at this point, I just, like you said, like they need whatever they can get from starters because they can't trust anybody in their bullpen. So they need outings like they had last night from Burns, where he goes 6 innings. They probably needed him to go 7 realistically. But such is life. They obviously have him on an innings limit. They haven't released anybody. We can probably guess what it is. But they need to get everything they can from the starter. So yeah, like you said, they're bringing Rhett Lowder to pitch on Sunday, because what the heck else are they going to do?
All right, Tim, we saw it in the comment section. You predicted it as soon as the news broke. Everybody wants to know, are the Reds going to sign Nick Castellanos? Well, Tim's going to tell you if they are or not, and I'll probably agree with him. We've got that for you coming up next.
But first, Locked On Reds is brought to you by Kalshi. Baseball season is here now, and you can trade every game on Kalshi. On Kalshi, you trade every single game. Say you're looking ahead to Friday and you want to trade the Cincinnati Reds against the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. The Reds right now are trading at 47%, meaning you throw $100 down, you get a $213 payoff. The Reds are victorious in that game as well. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi. Kalshi. Trade on anything. When they say trade on anything, they literally mean anything. The weather, the election, baseball, basketball, Japanese baseball, they got it all. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory.
Thanks for being an everydayer and watching us here on YouTube. If you can't watch us here on YouTube, you can get us on every single podcasting app that's out there. If you find one we're not on and you need us to be there, message Jeff Carr. He can probably make it happen for you. That's also where the Everydayer Club lives, ad-free, Locked On Reds, available in the audio feed. The link for that is down in the show description. All right, Tim, it was inevitable. Within minutes of the San Diego Padres announcing they have designated Nick Castellanos for assignment, I started seeing it on the Twitter X. I started seeing it on the socials. Will the Reds take a look at Nick Castellanos. I'm going to let you start here because I know you have some strong opinions on it. Will the Reds have a chat with Nick Castellanos?
So as soon as I saw this yesterday at 5:22 in the afternoon, I texted you and Jeff and said, "Get ready for Castellanos questions, fellas."
They're out there.
Yes. And here's the thing. No, don't. It's not worth it. He's not good anymore. He's washed. And look, I enjoyed 2021 as much as we all did. It was a blast. That was as good as it's going to get for Nick Castellanos. He will never be that ever again. And even if he's half of that, it's not good enough. And I understand he was really good in the World Series when the Phillies lost. But that's not happening ever again. The Padres designated him because he can't hit anymore. He's got a negative WAR. And not just like a -1. It's just about 1. He's hitting under 200. So he probably would fit right in with this Reds lineup. But what is he going to bring you? Is he going to take an outfield spot from Bleday, Steer, Myers, Dunn? No. He can play first base now. Okay, we've got those two. Nate Lowe, Spencer Steer, Sal Stewart, Eugenio Suarez is an option there, and we didn't even talk about how bad he's been. So there's nowhere for him in Cincinnati. So if your thought process is that you're holding on to 2021, and 2021 is not a thing anymore. You know who else was really good in 2021? Jesse Winker. Look where he's playing baseball right now. Nowhere.
They might all end up in Lexington joining Nick Senzel. That might be the greatest team Lexington's ever fielded if they go out and get
since Roger Clemens did his rehab starts there when they were the Astros organization.
Let's look. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna give you some of his numbers. Last year in 2025, Nick Castellanos put up a line that went to the effect of 250, 294, 400, 17 home runs. Allowing for the fact that the Phillies have paid him most of his money and you probably get him for league minimum the rest of the way. Does that change your thoughts on this? Because these are the numbers people are going to look at. Doesn't change your mind at all.
Steve, they have enough guys already that have an on-base percentage under 300. We don't need another one.
So I agree with you. I don't think that a reunion is right for the Reds. Nick Castellanos, maybe he finds a look. I'd be surprised if he plays again this season, but he might find somebody to bring him to spring training.
He's going to play for like the Colorado Rockies, right? Or the Miami Marlins. He might find somebody to give him a deal to come to spring training. He's from Miami, so
Miami could take a flyer on him. Those numbers I gave you from Philadelphia last year, that was in 147 games.
Yeah, and he burned the bridge.
In that 147 games, he had a negative 0.8 WAR to go along with the negative 0.9 WAR that he put up this season. Before that, he was at 0.6 in WAR in 162 games for Philly. Before that, 1.5 in WAR. So what I'm saying here is if you go all the way back to 2023, 1.5 WAR, it has cut in half. It has continued to just drop. I think you're right. He's probably done. Reds fans in particular, I don't know if it's like this in every other city, but I know in the city of Cincinnati, Reds fans always like to look back on these guys with the nostalgia and the good feelings of what they brought when they brought it. And yeah, Nick Castellanos was a fun guy to have around in 2021. And the stars aligned for Nick Castellanos. He was on a contract that he could opt out of every single year, and he had a career year, 3.1 in WAR in 2021. That is a big, big jump in production that he had there. A slash line of 309, 362, 567 with 34 home runs. He parlayed that into huge money. Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't think a reunion is right. There's no place to play him. And even if he did have a place to play him, he doesn't help fix this lineup the way that he's playing right now. So I agree. You don't bring in Nick Castellanos. Is there another move in-house for this lineup? We didn't talk about this in the first segment. Is there another upgrade from AAA that makes a difference, that moves the needle? I don't think there is.
No, I'd be willing, like I mentioned this in the first segment, I'd be willing to give Michael Toglia a look because he's hit the ball pretty well. He's a switch hitter, and he also continues that like position flexibility the Reds are so high on. But if they don't, I'm not necessarily heartbroken.
Because that's the move, right? The only other real the only real swap that you have on the team right now is to send Will Benson down and bring up another outfielder. And I wait, keyboard guys, stop. Stop typing. I know you're going to come at me about Matt McLean. When Ellie comes back, there's a hard decision to be made.
Yeah.
And one of McLean and Arroyo has to go, and may the best man win.
Yeah. And like, I think we all are excited about Hector Rodriguez. I'm fine with him marinating in AAA Louisville for a little longer, and maybe getting a shot when the rosters expand in September. Unless he just goes on this absolute tear and makes it undeniable that he needs to come up. It just hasn't happened yet.
I agree. And it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Things are not great right now, folks. The Reds have just lost a series to the Royals, a series they should have won, a series they really can't afford to lose. The division is starting to slip away. There are big, big problems with this franchise right now. And I don't know that there's enough bumping around, knocking about in the minor leagues to right the ship right now. Health is the only thing I think at this point that's going to help this team, and it might be too little too late. But there's still an opportunity for guys to get going, an opportunity for guys to continue to get things together and maybe right this ship, get the Reds into wild card position. That could still happen. You can rest assured that both Jeff and I on Locked On Reds. Tim, thanks for joining us and filling in for Jeff, who's feeling a little under the weather. Tim's got you covered after each and every Reds game with the postcast. Jeff and I will be here Monday through Friday on Locked On Reds, as well as anytime news breaks or something big happens. Thanks for making us your first listen. Go make Locked On MLB your second listen if you're in the audio feeds. 3 great shows over there covering baseball from a national perspective. Sully's got you covered. Mike Stanton's got you covered. And the folks over at MLB Game Night are watching every single game, so you don't have to watch them all to know what's going on. All of that's available in the Locked On MLB feed. For the video, folks, go check out Locked On's first ever 24/7 national YouTube channel, where all of the experts of the Locked On Network are talking ball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We'll be back in your feeds tomorrow to keep gathering up all the news, the notes, the rumors, the reports, and the information to keep you locked on Reds every single day. Whew. Tim, I think we're going to have to join this bullpen. We're both lefties. There's room for us.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right, because we can't drink, so we might as well pitch.
Might as well pitch.